Hey, welcome to Off-Road with Christine. I'm Christine Connor. I'm the owner of Amelie Scott Designs, and Off-Road is where we take an existing product and we show you how to do something different and new with it. Today we are going to be using the Apple a Day table runner, and we're going to use the designs from it to make this quilt back here. And you can also see I put a little apple on my t-shirt, which I just think is adorable. And then I'm going to, in part two, we're going to try and keep this video shorter, or not so long. And I'm also going to show you how to do a tea towel. You might want to watch this video. It looks like it's easy, but you have to remember that there's a placement and a tack stitch around each of these designs, and that kind of makes things a little trickier. This is a table runner that you hopefully made with your pattern, and today I'm going to show you this one because the quilting really shows up well on here. We're going to take this apple and the little quilting design that goes around it, and we're going to put that apple all over this quilt, and you can see I've kind of rotated the apple so that it's all tossed. We're also going to take this design, the apple sign, and the quilting that goes around it, and place it on the quilt as well. I'm going to show you also how to enlarge the quilting design around the sign a little bit. The last design we're going to use is this apple. It's like 4 apples, and we're going to put that in all these little blocks right here, these little 6-inch finished blocks. Now, I have to tell you that this design, the design starts out, it's a little bit smaller, so we do have to increase this design, and so I am going to show you how to increase that design in your machine so it will fit better when you stitch it out. Oh, I want to show you now, this quilt that we're making, it finishes at 60 by 60 inches, and I want to show you how cute it looks on my patio. Alright, every time I show this table runner at an event or teaching, or I see somebody else showing it, the first thing they say is, "Oh, wouldn't that look cute wouldn't that make a great teacher gift? Wouldn't that look cute in a classroom?" People always associate apples with school, and rightly so. I think I used to be an elementary school teacher, and I think this would have been a cute quilt to have out on my table when I had parent conferences. But apples do not have to be cute, and they don't have to be school. They can be very elegant too. Check out this block. I stitched that apple out with metallic thread. I don't know if you can see, but I used some glitter tulle up in the leaf. Now, a lot of people think I use glitter vinyl, but I don't. I use this glitter tulle. It's just a netting with sparkly stuff on it. And you can get it in these rolls at Hobby Lobby. It's dirt cheap, like $1.99, and I've got them in all colors. It's a lot of fun to play with. Before we get into the actual video itself, let me just tell you what the video is going to cover. First of all, after the little yellow car goes by, you'll have a supply list, so you can take a screenshot or pause your video and manually write down your supply list. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about triangle paper. It's a great way to make triangles. If you've never used it, you need to do all your triangles with triangles on a roll paper. It's the easiest and the only way to go. I'm going to also show you how to make the block itself, how to place the fabric, and then so this apple block in the table runner, the apple block is cut 6 inches. In the quilt, it's cut 6.5 inches. So when that placement line goes down for you to put the fabric in, it's a little bit too large for the placement line. I got a really cool trick to show you how to make sure you get that block centered so your apple will be centered. And then I'm going to talk to you about how you resize this apple for the 4 apple designs. And and the neatest thing is, with this video, you also get 2 free designs. Because what happened, pull this over. What happened was after I finished, for every block I did, at the very end, so you see you have, let me pull this over a bit so you can see the edge. So you have all these 6-inch blocks, 6-inch blocks, 6-inch blocks, 6-inch block, and then you have a half. And so what I did, I thought it would be really cool to have a little border design, and I think you can see that. There's a cute little border design right there. Let me get in the center of the camera. And what I do is I flip-flop that. So the swirl goes left, right, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And there's also a little apple, corner apple design. These are free designs. They're available out on the website. So just go to our website. It's ameliescott.com. All right, let's get started. I always use triangles on a roll paper when I do half square triangles. I cannot let you do half square triangles any other way because this is the easiest way to do half square triangles in my opinion. So paper looks like this. It comes in a roll. You tear off as many squares as you want. You'll have plenty with one roll to get 100 half square triangles out and plus more. And here I'm going to show you how it works. So you take two pieces of fabric and you put right sides together, and then you just pin the amount of paper that you want on top. I usually try to pin like 5 rows to give me 20 half square triangles, because each triangle is one whole half square triangle. So here I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, after you have done that, then you want to sew on all these dashed lines. So here you can see the lines are dashed, and here I've sewn over all the dashed lines. After you've done that, then you just want to cut with your ruler on all the solid lines. And that includes the perimeter as well. Oh, when you are sewing, you also want to tighten up your stitch to about 1.5 millimeters. Usually we sew at 2.5 millimeters, so just tighten it up. It makes it a little bit easier to take the paper off. So here I've trimmed out the perimeter. There's one of my first solid lines, and now I'm going to trim all the other solid lines. I'll just do one over here to show you real quick, or 1/2. And then when you get ready to take the paper off, just fold it back, peel. Usually take the big part off, and then the little part just comes right off. And you'll take that to your pressing board and press it open, and voila, you have a half square triangle. You will need 100 of these to make this little tablecloth. Okay, next you're going to take the yard of red fabric and that yard of green fabric, and you're going to cut 17 strips each of 17 of the red, 17 of the green, and that strip is going to be 2 inches wide by the width of fabric. You're going to sew those 17 strips together, and then you're going to subcut them into 6.5 inch sections. So I have this wonderful 6.5 inch wide ruler, and I'm just going to go and chop it up. You'll probably get 6 out of each section. Gosh, this is hard to do with a camera in front of me, but you get the idea, okay? You will need 100 of these units where you have the red and the green together. 100 of them. Alright, so once you've sewed all your half square triangles and your strips together, you will have the outside portion of that 12-inch block that you're going to make. The only thing that's missing now is like the applique apple or the applique sign that says apples 5 cents. So I want to show you one thing about that, and then it's going to be pretty much sew and put it all together. So here's where life gets just a little bit fun. In the apple table runner pattern, our apple design with the placement and the tack down stitch is 6 inches. But I need this background piece to be 6.5 inches for our block. So here is what we're going to do. You're going to cut 25 of your background pieces 6.5 by 6.5, a square. And then you're going to place your tearaway into your hoop, and you're going to place it into your machine, start the machine, and it's going to do the tack stitch. I'm sorry, it's going to do a placement line. Here is my placement line for my square, and as you can see, my square does not fit inside it. It's too big. So what I'm going to do is take a ruler and a ballpoint pen and just go from corner to corner. And I would not use pencil on this because pencil sometimes gets on cloth. Pen will work just fine. Yeah, let me do it on my other side because I'm right-handed. Alright, now I know where the middle is. Then you're going to take your square over to the ironing board and press it in half once this way and then in half again. So you've got some creases on there that you can see. And you're just going to line the one crease up with this one line and then the other half with the other line, and then I want you to open it up and I want you to tape all 4 corners in place. The tape just magically appeared, and make sure that you're making it tight as you tape it down. Then you're going to put it back in your machine and it's going to tack the fabric in place. Now when it comes time, I want to tell you something about using light colored fabric on a checkered background. So I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little yellow placement line for my apple. And if I put a piece of yellow fabric down, I can see all the little white dots coming through. And my fabric, maybe okay, you might like that, but I don't want that. So there are 2 options that you can do. You can take a piece of white fabric and line it, or you can just do 2 layers of your yellow. And I'm going to be kind of wasteful and do 2 layers of my yellow because I have so many scraps in this house. They're like coming out of my ears. So I'm going to use 2 layers so I get better coverage. Next thing I want to tell you is when I am doing the leaves and it stitches the green, I just take a strip of fabric as opposed to cutting and I just lay a part of the strip down over for my applique. When you're finished embroidering your apple, then just take it out of the hoop. You want to remove the basting stitches first and then the paper. So I strongly suggest you lay out each block before you sew it so you can make sure that your gingham triangles are always pointing inward and that your greens are always touching your gingham center. So you'll sew the top and bottom together, right sides together, and then you'll take this and sew, fold those over and sew right sides together. Okay, once you have the 3 sections sewn together, then I want you to do right sides. And by the way, I did press these seams open, but I just pressed those seams outward. I think when I press these seams open, I did that because I think it's going to make it nicer when I quilt it. And you'll just do each of those side pieces together, 1/4 inch seam. Right, here's the finished block. You're going to make 12 of them. I'm sorry, no, you're not going to make 12. You're going to make 25 of them, 5 rows with 5 in each row. Also on this block, these last 2 seams that I put on, I did press them open. When you get ready to quilt a quilt, the flatter your quilt lays without any buckles or waves, the better and easier it is going to be for you to quilt it. And usually when people have a lot of buckles and waves, it's because they've done 2 things. One, when I lined up my pieces, I actually put a pin here and a pin here, and I made sure that these seams were lined up. So that helps. The second thing is a 1/4 inch. There are feet out there that I don't know if you can, let's see if you can see this. There's a little, this is a 1/4 inch foot for a FOF machine, and it has a little ridge so that when I sew my 1/4 inch seam, I'm all backwards. This, when I'm sewing a 1/4 inch seam, hold on, I'm all backwards. When I'm sewing a 1/4 inch seam, the guide is right on the edge of the fabric like that. And there's the guide. It's like a little wall that keeps your fabric from going over. And so that makes a huge difference when you sew. Some people get a little wavy with their 1/4 inch seam and then their quilt doesn't lay flat. So those are two things you can do to make sure that your quilt is really nice and flat. I placed my quilt on the floor so that you can see when I joined all the blocks together, and there are 5 blocks in each row and then there are 5 rows. When I join them together, you can see I turned the apples. I kind of went like in a clock-like pattern just to give it some variety. I want to make sure that wherever you are sitting at my table, you have a apple that might be facing right side up or looking at you, or a sign that's looking at you. In the apple a day pattern, table runner pattern, you have quilting designs that go around the applique. So here there is a little apple design. It's a little design with little leaves and apples that go around the apple. And then there is a very simple one that goes around the apple sign. They're probably hard to see because of the gingham. There's also another apple design, and so what I want you to do is if you use a wagon or the apple sign, then you'll need to use a quilting design that goes around that particular design, and just use it just like you would, like I tell you in the apple a day pattern. You find the center of the block, and you can see my little dot right there. You find the center of the design and make the design go around the block. Now there's also another one that we're putting in. See if I can get that up there in the camera for you. And it is a design that goes in a plain block. It's got 4 apples and a little loop in between each one. And I'm going to show you how we're going to use that. We're going to put that in each of the blocks where we have the 2 strips, and the 2 strips are, we're going to put that in each of the blocks where we have the 4 half square triangles, and we're going to place that in the blocks where we have the 2 strips of green and red and the green and red from the other block meeting together. So that's what we're going to do on all the rest of the blocks. And then there's a really cool little border design that you get for free, and it looks like, well, it has a little apple in the corner, and then you have a little apple with a wavy design for all these little side pieces here. When you're stitching out the apple design, as you bring the design in, you will notice that the design is 4.77 by 4.76, and our block is 6 inches square, so that's going to be kind of small. So we want to increase the size. So in the Baby Like Solaris, you'll need to go to Edit, and then you'll need to go to Size, and then we will just increase the size. You can see it increases up here, 4.8. And these arrows going outward, that means to increase. If you ever need to shrink, you would hit the one where all the arrows are going in. And you want the one with the 4 arrows because it means it's increasing it on all 4 sides proportionally. So 4.9, 5.5, 5.15, 5.24, 33. So I don't want it to be 6 inches because I want that 1/4 inch all the way around. Just so we don't go over seam lines. If I go one more, it goes over 5.5, and that gives us less than a 1/4 inch all the way around, so I'd rather have a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm increasing my block to 5.43. On your machine, you'll just try and get it as close to 5.5 as possible, or a little bit under if need be. One of the things I find useful on my machine is a laser light, and it's a little W button. If you press that, you'll get a little crosshair, and it'll be a little red light that comes on, and it'll have a crosshair that helps you find where you're trying to get to. It's just a little bit more precise. And then once you find that you're going to hit layout and then move, and then these arrows will allow you to move that laser light that's right by your needle. It'll allow you to move the laser light around till you get to the position that you want to be in. I'll be using the buttons on the screen to move this red plus sign to the center of my seam. I'm going diagonally. That's one thing that's really nice about this machine, is I can go diagonally. I don't have to just go up and down. And it's a little puckery. Okay, once I am there, I'm going to use my projector. The projector button is a thing that looks like an upside down ice cream cone. I'm going to select it, and the image will be projected over on my quilt, wherever I will see whatever's in this red box, and I'll use these arrows here to move the design around as I need it. When you move the box, you have to put your finger in the box and then move it upwards. So I'm going to basically check all the corners of the box and see that make sure that it's a 1/4 inch from the edge. I think you can see the image showing up. I'm going to lay a ruler down along the seam line, and I might want to scoot that down just a smidge. Then I'm going to put my finger in the box, wait for it to turn blue, and I'm going to check another section of my quilt. I've got a good 1/4 inch there. I have a good 1/4 inch here. I'm good there. Okay, that looks very generous here. I'm probably going to have to scoot over. My bottom is a little close, so I'm going to scoot my design up a bit. And I just do this all the way around until I am happy. And once I go around and I'm happy with everything that I am seeing, I go around again just to make sure that my moving one direction didn't affect another one. Now, if you don't have a projector on your machine, you can just line the center of the design up with the center of this block. Okay, that looks good to me. Alright, now I'm ready to stitch. When I stitch, I am going to advance to the first stitch. Let me show you where that's at. I'm going to hit OK because I'm done with the movement of everything. This is where my advance to the first stitch is, this little plus minus button. And I'm going to advance to the first stitch. Alright, I'm going to bring the needle down, needle up, grab that bobbin thread, and start the machine. Let it stitch for just a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to trim my threads and re-hit the start button. And there is the apple block when it's all done. When I was working with my mom, who's 88 years old, I discovered something really cool that you can do with the magnetic hoops, and I just want to show you. So, if you take, especially when you're working with a quilt, if you can just reach back and just pull the hoop forward, and then you just take both sides of the quilt, and pull it back, you can actually feel when it clicks into place, and then you don't have nearly as much futzing to do with setting your lines and stuff, because you just pulled back, everything's pretty much in the same alignment. Here you have it. When I got to the very edge of the quilt, when I finished quilting it all, I noticed that on the end I had this narrow, or this last 3-inch strip of blocks, but I didn't have the other side. So my big nice apple design would only be halfway in there. And so I thought, well, what if we just do something that's a little more borderish? So I came up with this little design. It's the apple with a leaf and some swirls. And what you might notice is the leaf here is going this way, and then up here my leaf is going this way. So what I did was I just kind of flipped the design. Let me show you how that's done on the Baby Like Solaris. Alright, so anytime you want to flip a design, you will always go to edit. Doesn't matter what machine you're in, it's always in the edit function. And it will be a symbol that usually is, shows you the same object on either side but rotated. So you can see this triangle on the other side is the same triangle, it's just been flipped over. So here you see the leaf is going to the right. When I hit that button, now the leaf is going to the left. And that's all you'll do is going down, just hit it left, right, left, right, left, right, and it'll just make your border a little bit more interesting. Free design I give you is a little apple in the corner. I mean, my goodness, we have to have a little cornerstone, right? And I just made sure my leaf was pointing inward. And again, that's in your edit function. You just rotate it until the little leaf is in the corner. And both those free designs are available on our website.